time just spinning our wheels, calling the wrong people in the wrong companies, and we got smarter pretty quickly to say we need to put a process around this. We know who buys from us, so let's go find those people in those companies by doing some research on our own, instead of just blindly calling a marketing admin when I need to sell to the chief marketing officer and wasting my time here because I'm never going to get a referral to the CMO's office. I need to start there. So let's find out who the CMO is. Let's find their contact information so we can get in touch. Let's also start a process for calling that CMO, because I'm sure they're very busy. So if I try to reach them once, they're probably never going to call me back. If I try to reach them twice, they're probably never going to call me back. If I try to reach them 12 times, I might get a phone call back. And we had a lot of stories and examples of that, where we might have had 40 meetings in Merrill Lynch before they did $20 million in business with our company. We had many people that we had to attempt 18 times over a 6-month period before we got in the door. But then Bank of America spent over $40 million with a Primo. So there were a lot of great examples and testimonies of that. Going on at a Primo, I was able to manage that team, and then I actually had an opportunity to leave and go to a new high-tech company. And the great thing about that was it was an opportunity to put all those processes that we learned in a 2-year period and got better at and more refined at into practice right away. So after joining that new company, which was a company that sold software solutions for med device and pharma reps, right? So imagine a pharma rep walking into the doctor's office and they have sample drugs that they're going to drop off, and they actually have to have a signature for compliance, government compliance, to make sure they're not giving, high-risk drugs away to the wrong people. So there are a lot of processes around supply chain and manufacturing to manage in the context of med devices and pharmaceutical drugs. So we had these applications that sales reps could take with them on their handheld. Very different type of process, but we wanted to sell to med device and pharma companies. Did the same process between hiring the team, training the team, building the message, generating the data, launching our first calls, having our first appointments. We had multi-million-dollar deals in the pipeline within 60 days. And that was a big aha moment. Wow, this is repeatable. We can do this for other people. And I think that's when, for me, it really became a passion of, oh my gosh, this is a way to get to the market fast. This is a way to validate the market quickly. And this is a way that I can see exactly how I'm impacting top-line revenue. And I could put a very compelling business case around it in the context of doing that in the most inexpensive way possible. So with LeadJen as a business, in 2004, the company I was working for was bought out. I was not. So I had a lot of free time. And my business partner was starting a business on his own. And I thought about doing inside sales for a lot of other people. I was ready for the next challenge. I didn't want to do that in just one environment, but I was passionate about it. So how could I leverage those skills and still challenge myself? And I actually approached my business partner, who is now my business partner, at the time he wasn't, and just said, you have the infrastructure, you're willing to pay me a salary, albeit a lot less than I ever thought I would be making at this point in my career, but I'll take it. It's money in the bank. And you have the infrastructure, the phone lines, it won't cost you any extra, and I already have a potential client, can we try this idea? And ended up taking off. The other business didn't, and LeadJen has since grown to a 60-employee organization, and we tripled in size last year. As an example too, because it's been 7 years almost, or 6.5, we've actually spun off a few other businesses, so we've been able to do some equity investments in some other high-tech companies, where we've been able to swap some of our services for equity in their business, to where now we have a pretty broad portfolio during that 6.5-year time span, and have spurred a whole other company that we have shared ownership in. So every call matters. With LeadJen as a mindset now, doing this on an outsourced basis for clients, the thing that we've recognized, is prospecting, right? This is cold calling at the simplest level. Prospecting is the single greatest human dialogue happening across the marketplace. Human dialogue, all right? So how many of you have learned about digital marketing? A little bit? Okay. So digital marketing relates to, anyone have some ideas, some things that are involved with digital marketing? Anyone?
Consumer profile.
Okay, in the consumer business, yeah. So maybe like their online profile? Trying to understand who they are, where they're coming from, some details about them. Okay. So that's kind of the online world, right? Digital, online, email. Those are a lot of the things that social media, custom landing pages that I direct people to. So if they have blonde hair, I show them my blonde hair products, you know. That's digital marketing, right? I'm trying to ascertain, and I'm trying to get an online dialogue with someone. What it's reliant on is that person populating an awful lot of information about themselves. Verbal dialogue is a little different, right? This is a live dialogue. So imagine that you're a business-to-business company selling marketing software. You're targeting all these marketing executives across the nation, but you really like the financial services ones, you really like the pharmaceutical ones. And so you're trying to reach those, and you're using online tools. And you might get some people that click on an email that you send. Maybe they populate their title on something. I can do the reverse lookup on their IP address. I can see where they came from, what company they're with. So I can auto-populate a little bit. But I can't tell what their marketing budget is. How many marketers are going to share that on an online form? I never would. How many people are going to share what technology solutions they're already using today in their environment on an online form? Very few. So this is just recognizing and saying, hey, we're doing these calls for our clients. We've got to have a little bit more strategic thought behind it than just picking up the phone each time and dialing through a list and just blowing off everyone else just to get one appointment. We've got to have a mindset about what else we can achieve as part of that process. And what we learned as an organization is we might have to call 100 people to get the one appointment. And maybe some of those 100 people say not now, and some of them say no. But what can I figure out about those 100 people that'll help us get smarter about targeting them in the future? So instead of setting one appointment out of 100, we set 10. And that's the mindset that we have at LeadJen. So a couple of things that we realized and recognized. So we have digital marketing, right, at the top. Those are your digital marketing applications. Eloqua, Marketo, Exact Target is a company here in town, does more email. Primo is another good example. These are companies that help me leverage the digital marketing touch. They help me segment my database. I need to do some of those digital marketing efforts. The great thing about those applications is they do some analysis to figure out what's working the best. So what subject line in my email is having the most success, where more people are opening it? What links are people clicking through to take action? So what content do they find most interesting? So I can get smarter about that and get better response on future campaigns. Likewise, there are sales solutions out there, right? How many people are familiar with CRM? Okay. If you're not, and you plan to be in business to business, look it up. Whether you're in sales or not, something in your role will involve looking at CRM. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. At the most basic level, it's your database. It's your database of people that you're going after. It's your database of sales contacts. And why companies implement a CRM system is because they don't want each sales executive that's been working with them for 12 months to walk out the door with all their contacts. And so now, in terms of ramp up in that territory, someone has to start from scratch with a brand new set of contacts. I don't have anything to help them. So as a business, I want to hold on to that information. I want to know what deals they were working. I want to know how far along they were in the sales cycle. And I want to start to apply some processes here, because I can't grow my business if I look at sales as an art. I have to be able to break down that art and say, here are some ways you can do certain brush strokes. Here are some, when you want to do an oil painting, here are some techniques you can use. When you want to do watercolor, here are some techniques you use. In sales, when I'm managing a large sales cycle, I need to be able to tell someone the order of things that they need to do in order to close that business, because I'm accountable to the board. And when I walk in and I forecast that we're going to close $1 million deal, I better be able to get it done, right? So that's what those applications are all about. So there's nothing in the middle, right? So all these live prospect interactions, no one's doing anything to analyze those. And this is, again, if you think about just looking at the size of the funnel, there are only a handful of live conversations happening here. Now, what's the implication of that? If I'm a business and I make all my decisions based off of what drops out of here, I'm not saying it's not important to say, hey, we closed a big deal with Bank of America. Maybe we should go after more Bank of Americas and see if we can close more deals. Maybe they have a problem. What's interesting about that is, some of our clients we found, and Aprimo is one of them that we've worked with now through LeadJen, originally said, well, financial services is by far our best market. That's who we always want to target, who we always want to go after. As part of our campaign, we targeted about 20 different industries. We actually found that there were 3 other industries that had double the response rate of financial services. Weren't even on their radar. And now you look at the fact that they're making all of their decisions based off of what could be a false positive, right? They're making all their decisions based off of that one financial services close. And they're assuming that every other financial services company is just like that. It's not important to think about that, but I need to have validation points from these other groups and these other areas of my business, and prospecting is a very, very large part of that. And what we found is this prospecting thing that has been an afterthought for so many companies can actually provide the information that walks right into the boardroom to have a conversation about where are we going next? What's the next set of products that we need to deliver? Here are some messages we've been testing, and people seem to respond really well to these. And those live conversations actually provide a lot of validation. So within LeadJen, our big 4, not the big 4 consulting firms, I haven't really thought of a better way to say this yet, so I'm working on that. So these are 4 things that we're constantly looking at in the context of prospecting. So if we're smart about what we're analyzing in that human touch, we can start to understand what's working here. So targets. What do we think that relates to? Targets.
Sectors.
Yeah, sectors, industries, verticals, it's all the same thing. You were saying something, but
I was just saying like your prospect.
yeah, who you're targeting, who's the person. Now, when we break that down, vertical, I want to understand what verticals are performing the best. What about what titles? So, Aprimo could sell to multiple people. They could sell to a director of marketing programs. They could sell to a director of campaign management, a director of email marketing. So if I was targeting all of those individuals, who am I having the most success with? We have some clients that target healthcare, and they have solutions for staffing and scheduling in healthcare. They might target a head of nursing, but they're also going to target the CFO. So if we can help them better understand that it takes 4 attempts for us to reach the CFO, and then we just get passed to the CNO anyway, why waste our budget dollars trying to call a CFO when we're just adding cost to the program if we can short circuit that and just call the CNOs for now, unless we want to fundamentally change the message to make it better. Maybe that'll help us maximize our budget. So talking about message. Some of it is just trying to figure out, I'll give a really great example with messaging. So one other technology that will be good to know that every company uses in some way, shape, or form is their financial system, right? And in the larger companies, that financial system is called an ERP. Folks familiar with ERP? Okay, look that one up too. It's a good one to know. It stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. It's great. It relates to economics a little bit because it got its start with the mindset of just-in-time manufacturing. So how many people have learned about that? Okay. So just-in-time manufacturing, I don't want to have big warehouses full of stuff, right? That's expensive for my business. I want to plan the parts that I need to make my product just in time to make my product. So I don't have to keep things and store them, right? Well, technology is what enables companies to do that. An ERP is that underlying supply chain technology. It's the underlying technology around orders and inventory. It's the underlying technology for finance. It's one of the first enterprise software solutions to emerge in the marketplace. It is a type of software, not a vendor. So ERP vendors out there would be Oracle or SAP, stuff like that. So one of our clients had a reporting solution that was an add-on to an ERP. And so most ERP solutions have some reporting that they get, right? I'm a financial system. We're going to enable you to do some reporting. The challenge with this client was they were targeting and they were calling in and we were saying, hey, we work with any ERP. We've integrated to over 200 different ERP systems. And here's how we help with some reporting beyond what those systems can provide. We had some decent success with that message, but along the way, as we were targeting those individuals, we started to capture what ERP technology they were really using. And one of the big technologies out there is SAP. Folks familiar with SAP? Okay. So they're a big ERP technology, they're manufacturing technology, a lot of things, but ERP is one category. And we started capturing which companies were using SAP. We went back and targeted and pulled a list of all the people using SAP, and we targeted them again. We changed 3 letters